Hello everyone, I'm going to be participating this spring in the SaltyDolphin Draft League, so I thought it'd be fun to go through each week and talk about my planning and then show how the games go each week, and so this is for Pokemon Champions. But before we even get to the matches, we have to first draft a team. So the way it works is there's 8 people in the league, and you each draft a team of 8 to 10 Pokemon, which is in a snake order. And the Pokemon cost points, so you can't always just get like the best Pokemon. You have to sort of budget the amount of points you have, and that means towards the end, you have to get some of the weaker Pokemon. So we'll play 7 round robin matches, so once against every player, and the top 4 go to the playoffs. So thank you to SaltyDolphin for organizing this. So this is my team. I was actually the first in the draft, which was interesting. So I wasn't really sure what to do. Everyone in our league are beginners, so none of us have that much experience, and for everyone it's their first time doing this. So I've been enjoying using Frostlass, so I decided to pick Frostlass first. And then I like Talonflame, so I went with Talonflame second. I actually wanted to get Melodic instead of Primarina, but Melodic was taken, so then I went with Primarina. And I just kind of continued on getting Pokemon I liked. And so this is how what I ended up with. I was thinking of taking Ninetales, Alolan Ninetales, at the end, but because of the budget total, I couldn't get them, so I ended up with Vanillix instead, who I think is also fine for a snow team. So this is my general team structure. So this is how I'm thinking about it at least. So I have my snow core, so the Pokemon that will work well in the snow. Then I have Pokemon that work as supporters. So I have Talonflame to set up Tailwind, and then I have Raichu for fake out support. Raichu seems to work well for me overall. And they're pretty versatile. And then Vanillix can I felt like it kind of served both roles a bit because you can give it, it can learn Aurora Veil and Icy Wind, so that's sort of my general concept behind the team. And then I have just 4 good attackers who I think can work out pretty well to do some damage. And I have 2 special attackers in Primarina and Jolteon. And then I have 2 physical attackers with Ceruledge and Meowscarada. And their types I think all balance out well. So going through the team, with Frostlass, I'm generally just thinking I'm going to try to press Blizzard a lot, so it gets Snow Warning. So usually I'll try to do that. If they have Wide Guard or against a Ghost type, I might need it to click Shadow Ball. With Beartic, they have the ability Slush Rush, so I'll probably use that most of the time. They do also get Swift Swim, so maybe against a rain team I can bring that out, I don't know. So yeah, for Vanillix, it's just an extra Pokemon that has Snow Warning, which will just be helpful if I'm trying to win the Weather War, as we call it. As I've learned, we call it in the Pokemon community. So essentially, like, if someone's trying to set up the sun, or the rain, I can switch Vanillix in. Okay. Then for Talonflame, they have Tailwind, they get Acrobatics, which can be useful, Flare Blitz. These are just some common moves. There'll probably be some other moves. When I've been using Talonflame in the past, I also sometimes used Quick Guard, which could be helpful. So definitely we'll think about adding that to Talonflame. And it gets a bunch of other moves too, but these are some of the more useful ones. So for Raichu, I like Fake Out. Nuzzle can be pretty useful. It's a guaranteed Paralyze. And Raichu's actually pretty fast. And they're actually pretty strong too, so, I'll probably teach them Thunderbolt or Psychic or both of those, depending on the matchup. Then with Meowscarada, they have this ability Proteon, which allows them to change their typing. So that's pretty useful, and can kind of make them work against a whole bunch of different matchups, so you have to be a little bit careful because you don't want to get locked into a type that you don't like. So you need to plan ahead a little bit, but when it works really well. So I think since I have a lot of ice Pokemon, having a Pokemon that can change types will be pretty useful. And then Primarina, who's very bulky and gets Liquid Voice, which means the Hyper Voices are going to be water type, so they'll do a lot of damage. I have Cerulege, who gets Bitter Blade, Poltergeist, and Shadow Sneak. So this is really important because without a fire attacker, some of the steel types are going to be really difficult for me. So I wanted to make sure I had someone who could do, a lot of damage with fire. With Talonflame, I'm usually just trying to make sure I get Tailwind set up. And so I don't always have an opportunity to do a fire move with them. So having an extra fire Pokemon, I think, is pretty important. And then I have Jolteon here. So this is the last Pokemon I drafted, but I decided to go with Jolteon just because they're so fast. It can help, outspeed, I think, pretty much most of the field. They get Thunder Wave as well, so that could be useful if I want to just immediately use Thunder Wave to slow something else down so my other Pokemon can move before their Pokemon. It also gets Weather Ball, I saw, so it has a high special attack, so it could, I think, do some damage in the ice, or in the snow. I have not actually used Jolteon at all ever, so I'll probably try them out and see how I like it. You do get 2 opportunities to trade Pokemon throughout the season, so if it's not working out with Jolteon, I can always switch, but I think they have some potential, so that's my whole team. And these are all the 8 teams for our league. So I'll go through them briefly. There's sort of like 3 themes I sort of grouped them into. So the first were the weather teams, and my team would be included in this as well, but I didn't put it here because I just talked about it. So we have the rain team, so there's 2 of those, and then we have a sand team, and the sand team looks pretty good, but it also maybe drops off a little bit quickly, but it has Tyranitar and Garchomp and Corviknight, which is, I think, really strong. And Machagacha is really good, of course. That Pokemon's name is Sinishti, I think. I don't even remember their name. Just remember the name of the move. But yeah, and then the rain teams look pretty good. This one at the top here, looks like it might work best in Trick Room as well. So, definitely something to think about there. So this next set of teams I think are kind of just like tricky to deal with. So this top one has both Tailwind and Trick Room, and they have Hisuian Zoroark. So be a little bit tough to deal with that. A lot of potential like mind games and thinking about like what they're gonna do, because obviously I don't want to click Tailwind if they're gonna be setting up Trick Room. So just trying to figure out what their plan is gonna be tough for that. And then for the bottom team, it just seems kind of defensive. A lot of these Pokemon I've never actually played against, but I know Umbreon is really defensive, and so is this Apple Dragon, which is not Hydra Apple, but it's similar to them, and of course Steelix. So yeah, it just seems overall like a very defensive team, so that can be tricky to battle against. Okay, so it looks like my audio cut out there at the end, so let me just quickly go through this last part. So these were the teams I called scary teams, and that's because I think they're going to be the toughest for me. So this top one is, I think, just the best team in the league. They have Charizard and Sneasler and Aerodactyl and Melodic, which is all like it's like a really strong core right there. Those are all like Pokemon you'd see at the top of the ladder. right now. So very tricky. And they also have Serena, which is also very tricky because I can't use Fake Out to stop their Tailwind if Serena's on the field. So, you know, that's a lot to deal with, I think. And then the bottom team it looks a bit unusual, but all 3 of their Mega Pokemon there are really good against Frostlass, I feel like. So I think it'll be a bit of a tricky matchup for me. But I'm not sure. They have a lot of poison types as well. So, and they probably are going to set up Trick Room, but actually some of their Pokemon are really fast, so I'm not sure. But yeah, so it seems like that one will be a bit tough too. But yeah, those are all the teams. And yeah, I'd say I'm pretty excited for the league. I think our plan is to have 1 match a week, so probably start in a week or 2, and I'll try to make sure I record my final set that I come up with, and I think my thought process behind it, and then I'll also record the match itself so we can see how that goes. Alright, cool, thanks for watching.